Hi, this evening I'm going to do my fifth presentation on the deep state. And ugh.
List, and my response was, it's
Okay, this is the Epstein file, the famous, I think everybody is familiar with this now, when Trump defends Plan Bondi.
sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
U.S. President Donald Trump is coming to the defense of his Attorney General Pam Bondi amid an unexpected backlash from his own MAGA base over the controversial Epstein files. Trump's lengthy Truth Social post this weekend praised Bondi, called the Epstein story overblown, and slammed critics as selfish people trying to hurt what he called a perfect administration. The controversy began when Bondi's Justice Department, alongside the FBI, released a memo declaring there was no evidence of a massive conspiracy behind Epstein's death or the existence of a so-called client list. Many MAGA supporters felt misled.
And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much what everybody is absolutely scandalized about these days. So now we're gonna get into Megyn Kelly.
On her desk, it's coming tomorrow, you're gonna see something on Epstein. And it was a tease. So you either believe that Pam Bondi was telling the truth then, or that she's telling the truth now, but both cannot be true. She was either lying when she went on Fox News all those times saying, I've got it, we're looking at it, wait until you see it, it's horrible. Or she's lying in her 2-page memo that they released on a Sunday night at the tail end of a holiday weekend to Axios, as if Axios is where we all go for our news. Hell no. She went to someone she knew would not kick the tires on the story, and without signing the memo, dropped it in the dead of night and said, that's it, take the crumbs and be happy. Refused to come out and give a presser, come out and give a press conference, stand there for 6 hours to the point where people are dying of boredom. They've asked all their questions. That's how you put a scandal to rest. But she wouldn't even sign her name to it. And I'm telling you, I have dollars to donuts. It's going to come out that there was internal consternation over that memo and whose name did and did not go on it and who it was and was not behind it. And so now you have a situation where her words on the record on Fox News are diametrically opposed to what she put in this memo. She's embarrassed the president. She's embarrassed herself. And Dan and Cash, to the extent they've had to sign off on that, let's understand the FBI is controlled by the DOJ. FBI is subservient to DOJ. She's their boss. That they're in this position where the only comments they've made on the record as administration officials have been, we don't think he killed himself, and we don't think he got murdered. We think he did kill himself. We've looked at the tapes, and Cash to Joe Rogan saying, if I saw all these tapes of Jeffrey Epstein with little girls, trust me, I would show you, but I haven't seen it. Okay, so what they're saying now is consistent with what they've said since they joined the office, and that is one of the many reasons why this scandal is squarely on her, and I'm telling you, I'm of the cable news universe. I've seen it happen a million times. People get thirsty. They love to see themselves on television. They love to see their names in the Klieg lights. They love the attention. They love the little emails and texts and tweets and thumbs up they get after their appearance, and they can feel their star rising.
Fundraising is hard. Let's make it easier. Candid's Foundation Directory equips you with...
I think Megyn Kelly is needs to take a little look in the mirror.
I'm told there's a bit of like a power struggle between Pam Bondi and another female administration official on who's going to be the top dog. You know, we've got a great bench behind President Trump. We've got JD, we've got Marco, you know, we've got Hegseth. We've got a lot of people who could potentially be next up. But there are some women who've got their eye on that role too. And I've been
maybe
told
one of them
she's
speaking at this event.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
I'm too happy a person.
No, I know. I was talking about someone tomorrow, so that might be speaking at this
Oh,
event.
yeah.
But,
Okay.
but Megyn, you make a very astute point, and let me add to it, which is that she also brought in some of our best influencers, people that I care about deeply. Jack Posobiec, who's incredible. Libs of TikTok, Chaya, DC Drano.
Yeah.
And she gave them these binders, and she humiliated them.
Yeah.
And you guys know what I'm talking about? Where she like did this stuff with the binders?
This?
And
Yes.
you guys were upset, but you shouldn't be upset, the influencers. They were handed these binders like there was something incredible in them.
It is what you would do to an enemy. It would have been a brilliant operation.
Okay. Yeah. Megyn Kelly, it is incredible how this is Pam Bondi, and Cash Patel and Dan Bongino have no responsibility whatsoever. That's just, watch these, because she's saying, oh, the Bongino and Patel, they're consistent of what they've said since they've come in under Trump. But let's go back and see what was said before, long time ago. Let's see. Oh, I love this one. This is at 4:50.
Smooth, sophisticated feel, refined look. But these napkins aren't...
There we go. So we can get come on.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When do you think you'll have it done, Cash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator.
Okay. Now, Dan Bongino.
I gave up everything for this. I mean, you know, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. You know, I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., you know, by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, you know, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work. You're straightening out the FBI. You're moving buildings. There's a lot of change. Before we get into specifics, what did you think the job was going to be like? What is it like?
You know, the biggest lifestyle change for me has been family-wise. I mean, we already went through this with my time in the Secret Service. But, you know, when the president called and asked if I would take the job, you know, you can't tell your audience for years, go out and do stuff, talk is cheap. And then when the opportunity comes to do stuff, I didn't mean.
So, yeah, there's trouble in paradise in the Trump administration. But we'll see later with Dan Bongino's wife is Colombian, which is going to become relevant later on with Tucker Carlson. So let's see what Kash Patel had to say to Joe Rogan months and months and months ago. I forget when this is. Hold on.
If someone was in a position where a guy could release information that could potentially damage the most wealthy people on earth, you would have a concerted effort that's unprecedented.
Sure.
You would have the resources that we couldn't even possibly comprehend, all pointing towards eliminating this one person that it could be done.
But I mean, so many people have been implicated, right, already. And some of that information, what they did to Prince Andrew and everybody else is already out there. And so that's the conspiracy stuff that me and Bongino and the folks have to say, look, we will give you everything we can, and then we will have done our job. Also, if I had a shred, me, Kash Patel, had a shred of evidence, the Russiagate guy, the Jan 6 guy, the COVID origins guy, had a shred of evidence that this guy was murdered, I would be the first guy to bring this case hard and fast. And I would even doing press conferences every week on it. Mm-hmm. The first guy. That's what I'm asking people to play out to their logical conclusion. I'm not Comey. I'm not McCabe. I'm not the guy that was in the seat before. I have a wildly different background. I've been putting out the truth my entire career. Why would I risk all of it on this guy?
I believe you. Can I the letter?
Oh, yeah.
I believe you. I just think that, you know, the problem is we've been fuming on this conspiracy for so long. And we love conspiracies, don't we?
No,
as a country,
it's
there's
good,
so
right?
much fun.
I mean, you know, they make
JFK tapes. Come on, like release the documents. We all love them. We love them. We love UFO ones. We love everything. We love the craziest conspiracies. They're exciting. We don't want to hear that he tried to kill himself in July and then succeeded in August. And look, I could imagine why the guy wanted to kill himself. He was going to jail for the rest of his fucking life, and in jail, sex offenders for children are not treated well.
And also, by the way, most Americans haven't, nor should they. Have you ever spent 1 minute in segregated housing?
No.
It's the worst. The absolute worst. Like, you and your background, you could probably handle it, right? Like, you know, just in all reality. Most Americans, you put them in there for 5 seconds, they're going to slam their head against the wall. Literally. They're going to lose their mind.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
It's that bad.
I'm sure. I could only imagine. And I could only imagine this guy knowing that it's over. And what do you want to do? Do you want to...
Yeah, and then
who knows?
Just an interjection. Would everybody listen to what the state of affairs are in prisons and jails in the United States? I mean, this is not... We want human rights. Well, with human rights, you have to act like a human being and have some humanity. And, you know, you want to judge a society, look how they treat their prisoners and look how they treat their children. We're in pretty bad shape.
Knows who the fuck he's working for. Let's just put that aside. Now, if you're working for, we don't have to name names. We don't have to speculate. If he's working for some agency, some group, some foreign group, and they decide to target his family because he's going to jail for the rest of his life anyway. They decide to target his family if he testifies against them. I could see where if I thought that it was like, I'm going to be in jail for the rest of my life, or I tell and my family winds up being killed or destroyed, or who knows, maybe you'd say, look, the honorable thing is to end it in prison.
Honorable, cowardly thing.
Cowardly, whatever it is. Like, you just
also,
decide.
At some point, that guy was going back into Gen Pop. And the one thing I'll tell you about prison systems is the people they eat are child predators.
Yes.
And he was going to get eaten.
Well known, yeah. And they probably wouldn't have protected him. Yeah. So the narrative has always been that there's video. Now, what is the chain of custody?
That's not necessarily true, that Epstein wouldn't have he would have been killed in prison, or he would have been, protected because of information he had, got it locked up in some safe somewhere, and if anything happens to me, it'll get out, or something like that.
Is there evidence that there is video? Is there evidence that it was moved around, stored, protected from people looking at it? Like,
you're going to get all that information. Like, that's literally what we're putting together. And we're going to give you every single thing we have and can. And that's the whole point. We can't fill gaps by making stuff up, and we're not going to do that.
And you have to be methodical.
And we have to be, that's the other thing, right?
See, they're going to give us everything they have. This is a month ago. See, 1 month ago. I don't see the exact date. June 6th. June 6th, over a month ago.
We're reviewing not just the video. We're reviewing everything as meticulously as we can, because that's what we owe the American people. That's our job. And I don't want to rush to the sticks or the podium and just say, hey, look what we found.
Right.
And then be like, oh, sorry, I forgot the 4 seconds. If we miss 4 seconds, we'll be like, oh, well, it's in the 4 seconds you missed.
Right.
So I'm
How much can you talk about what you've seen?
Not yet. Just what I've told you.
Can you say you've seen anything?
No, that's the point, that there's nothing in there, like in the video. You guys would be bored.
You're talking about the video of the murder or the suicide.
The suicide.
But what about the video from the island?
Oh, sorry. So you're talking about two different things. So
sorry.
So again, we're going to give you everything we can, and people have to remember, we're not going to re-victimize women. We're not going to put that shit back out there. It's not happening.
So Megyn Kelly is putting this all on Pam Bondi, as she points out. Kash Patel and Kash Patel's girlfriend, she's a singer, but apparently she works for the company that she works for, I saw this in an article, is Israeli. So the speculation is, of the conspiracy theorists, is that she's an agent. So maybe she's influencing Kash Patel to not, because if Pam Bondi is not getting any information, and this is coming from Kash Patel or Bongino, I mean, in this scenario, it looks, Bongino, his wife is Colombian. So let's go more with it would be an Israeli, I think is something that would be more logical. So if that's where the constipation is occurring, well, then it's not on Pam Bondi.
Because then he wins. Not doing it. You want to hate me for it? Fine. Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
If you have access to it.
If I have it.
They said recently that there's all sorts of sex videos. So he's saying, don't you think if we have these, videos, we would give them to you? Of course, they're not going to, if there is sexual acts with children, there is a certain, you can't just put them out on the internet, and you have to respect, but you can say, oh no, we've got so and so and so and so and so and so. And we do have the tapes. So here he's saying, oh yeah.
Period.
Right.
If I have it.
So
he's got it. They've admitted they've got tapes with kids. Now, Megyn Kelly does bring this up, and I do agree with her, and I've been saying this from the beginning. What Epstein was into, it wasn't young children, it was post-pubescent. I don't believe there was anybody younger than 13, 14 years old. When we get into that age, it becomes a little bit more complicated because this is the age where girls are becoming sexually active. They are aware it's a totally different can of worms. It's not a good thing for young women to be sexually active too young in their early teens. However, that is not the same trauma as a toddler, a baby, or a child of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Of course, the older the child is, the more that the child is kind of aware, and also if he is taught, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, if they have been brought up in a home with somebody with some kind of head, parents, well, then they'll be like, get away with me, run, scream, whatever, whenever it happens. So, the feminist and the domestic violence, throwing this all in the same pot is not good for the situation. But they have evidence. So here, let's listen to Cash again. Don't you think? I mean, me? Listen to him.
Where else would it be?
right, if you have it.
Right.
But you can't say that you have it
No, we're giving you everything we have.
so far.
Everything we have so far is
Have
the
you
universe.
guys gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time.
Right.
And
is there video from the island?
not of what you want. The people out there have filled the void with can't wait to see X, Y, or Z.
Right, speculation.
And I'm like, here's the other thing I've been asking for, right? Openly.
Okay, this is another thing he's saying. The people out there have filled the void. We'll see with, let's see, I do have, yeah, I have some stuff we'll see with Whitney Webb. I mean, this is not, that woman has done her research. She is, I mean, it's amazing. She really has thoroughly, that the FBI should be working with Whitney Webb. He should have her in his office, reading those books, poring over those books, and looking at all of the evidence. This is not, all these people out there. This is typical bureaucratic bullshit.
If you have information on this, call us. Tell us. The best resource we have
You want me to call you and tell you to call Whitney Webb?
is the American people in the world.
Right.
Get me the tail numbers. Get me the flight, get me new information, and I will run that down.
So this narrative might not be accurate.
Everybody out there, send Cash Patel at the FBI a copy of all of Whitney Webb's books and inundate his office and inundate all of the material that's been written about this and say on there, F you, buddy, here it is.
Accurate that there's video of these guys doing this.
Exactly.
Is it possible that the video was taken and destroyed?
Well, you're talking about, decades worth of stuff, right? Remember, we have what we have pursuant to lawful search warrants and authorities from the case. that was done however many years ago it was done. That's what we have. If other people have other stuff and they want to give it to us, bring it.
Have you guys reviewed everything that you have?
Almost. Yes, we have, and now we're figuring out.
Joe keeps on asking that question, and you keep on getting the runaround.
How to put it out.
Since we were talking about fake news, this is going to come up because it's been going on since we've been recording here.
Oh, this is a precious moment. Will go down in history of Joe Rogan.
Elon and Trump seem to be in a bit of a spat, Joe. You want to check the tweet that Elon just put out a little bit ago?
Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day. Jesus Christ.
In the middle, that's June 6th, in the middle of the interview with Kash Patel. I mean, oh, Lordy Lord. He does have a sense of humor.
I'm not participating in any of that conversation between Elon
Have a nice day, DJT. Someone should take his phone away.
They're going back and forth about different things. And
yeah.
Listen, well, he said he was disappointed in Elon.
Yeah, they told him to leave.
Jesus Christ, that's a crazy thing to say. How does he know? Does he know that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files? Or does he have access to the Epstein files?
I don't know how he would, but I'm just staying out of the Trump Elon thing. That's way outside my lane.
What the fuck are they doing?
I know my lane, and that ain't it.
I just don't. I mean, I understand he owns Twitter. I think it's bad for your mental health. I think posting things public all day and arguing with people all day is bad for you.
Well, you raise a great point. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Everybody, all of the politicians should have, like with the kids, limit their phone time.
Half of what we have to respond to is the click army on social media.
Yeah, okay. It's too funny. Okay, so as I said, I won't play Whitney Webb video here because I didn't go into that. But it is in the slides that people can go and click onto. I'll post them a link to this presentation. So let's look. I mean, Congress is just out of control. There was an interview with George Santos and Tucker Carlson that, I mean, George Santos is like, look, they're sending me to prison. And I agree. 7 years for the line that he did. I mean, everybody in Washington lies through their teeth. No, I mean, like, just send everybody. I've been saying for at least 15 years, why don't you guys just build a prison in between the Senate and the House side, and then during the evenings, they can all go and sit in prison and serve out their sentences. And when we need a vote, you can go and stick them over there. I mean, this is ludicrous. So, you know, so here she's at the Anna Paulina, but listen to this woman. I mean, this is what we got in Congress. Say I have no money.
This guy is a virgin, a travel virgin.
Good afternoon, Tampa. For those of you who might not know who I am, my name is Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, and I have the joy, thank you, I have the joy and privilege of representing Florida's 13th Congressional District in Pinellas County. Thank you, thank you. But you know, standing here today, when I initially started out, I never envisioned that I would have a career in politics. I did not come from a particularly political family. I was born to a very young single mom. My dad was in and out of jail. By the time I had been maybe around 10 years old, I'd walked into an armed robbery. I had a cousin that was murdered. I'd attended multiple high schools, one of which there was a gang shooting on campus. And for all argument's sakes, according to statistics, I probably should have been a high school dropout, teen mom, and on drugs. But at 19, I joined the military. which truly was the best decision of my life. It's where I met my husband, Andy, and it's where I was, thank you, and it's where I was able to put myself through college.
I took control, went solo.
So I won't get in because she does go on about her her rather colorful past. So of course, people shouldn't be penalized for having drug addict parents. I mean, my favorite is Patty Davis, Nancy Reagan's daughter, who would sit there and count Nancy Reagan's pills and, Xanax, all of the pharmaceutical drugs, and the pharmacy. And when the advertisements would come on the TV of just say no to drugs, Nancy Reagan, just say no to drugs, Patty Davis would say, Mom, you might want to listen to that. Yes, so there are drug addicts and there are drug addicts. However, yeah, this girl shouldn't be penalized. My Lord, she comes from a family that, that we should strive not to have these. But this is like, oh, wow, if we didn't have these dysfunctional families, but we wouldn't have a whole bunch of generation of people saying, oh, thank you for putting me on a stage and voting me into Congress because I come from a dysfunctional family and I'm going to get up in here and talk about it. Listen to what Congress, George Santos really spilled the beans. Listen to this.
There's something called the cages in Congress, which is a storage unit for us, right? Those are the congressional cages.
Underneath
in the basement of every congressional house office building. No, boss, you shouldn't go there. I'm like, why? And he's like, well, there's some rumors. People are going out down there and having sex. I'm like, wait, is this serious? Like, yeah, it happens. Like, what am I going to do? Be the sex police? I don't have time for that. I'm like, there's no remedy to this? They're like, no. I'm like, why don't we put cameras down there to create deterrence? So I approached this novel idea, which is like, we're talking about installing like maybe 6 cameras in each one of these sections to Brian Style. And he says, oh, we don't have time to focus on this. This is all based on baseless rumors. Then I learn that former members were caught having sex with staffers down in the cages. And that's
That's why.
There's something called the.
So, and then here's the Senate twink.
We all saw the Senate twink, right?
Oh, yeah, the guy having sex in the committee room.
In the confirmation room of all with Amy Klobuchar's chair. So tragic.
What was the response to that?
I was already out at that point, but.
Were you shocked?
I was not just shocked, I'm gay.
Right.
I don't want to be associated to that. I've fought too hard to disassociate from the gay Inc. and LGBT mafia. This whole nonsense yesterday in New York City with the gay parade, none of that represents me and my partner. We don't walk around in thongs, in dog masks, on all four, like on fours. None of that represents us. We don't walk around naked. Well, what are you achieving with that? And then this kid goes in there and does this. What are you trying to achieve? Marginalize people who have fought like hell, creating hatred towards us. That has to be it. They're marginalizing us with these acts. So a person like that twink, that kid from the Senate confirmation room, I loathe a human being like that because I instantly get bundled into a basket, to quote Hillary Clinton, of deplorables. And I'm not that.
Thank you, George Santos. Now that I think is the real reason that they went after George Santos and went after him so hard, because of lying, embellishing. Yeah. They don't know the difference in this town between embellishing and lying. And 7 years. No, hopefully, yeah. Trump will give him a pardon, hopefully, because this really is very, very unfair. That's ludicrous. Have him ejected from Congress if you want, but you're tarnishing the name of Congress. News flash for Congress. That was done a long time ago. You guys have been digging your hole for a long time. Now, listen to this. This woman, she's been in the, how shall I say, reform movement, court reform, child protection service reform, sex trafficking reform, and everything for longer than I have. It started from when she was a little toddler, a big baby. Listen.
And one of those local politicians realized my father had been caught sending child pornography of me through the U.S. mails and told him he could receive immunity from prosecution if he would sell me into the CIA's MK mind control project.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We have author of this book, Transformation of America, Kathy O'Brien, is with us. In that book, she recounts being subjected to systematic torture and mind control programming from a young age in the CIA's notorious MK Ultra program. She has remained a vocal whistleblower, sharing her story through various media and advocating for awareness about mind control and trauma. Welcome to the show, Kathy O'Brien. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
I appreciate it. You know, I was reading your book, and it's really it's disturbing to say the least. And the fact that what would you want people to know about your book? It sounds almost too fantastical to be true, but you've testified, and there hasn't been any libel suits against you, so I'm going to say it's true. Tell people what you think they should know about it.
Well, I've been speaking out on MK Ultra mind control and healing from it for over 35 years. And my 1995 testimony for Congress, Transformation of America, was censored under national security because every bit of it had been validated by clean members of intelligence, law enforcement, Secret Service. All the evidence was just glaring. It was there. We just have no justice system to prosecute through, and didn't have a Congress that could even hear the testimony of this information because it was 1995. Bill Clinton was president, and he's named in Transformation of America, so it was censored. National security was invoked on it. That means that I wasn't able to see any justice. And I'll never see any justice other than what I consider to be the ultimate justice of positive change through public awareness. You know, awareness is key. And the reason they invoke national security is because knowledge is our defense against mind control. And mind control is being used to usher in a globalist slave society agenda that we're all experiencing today. So they didn't want people to have the information. They didn't want them to know what it was. In 1995, Transformation of America would have looked prophetic because I knew who was going to be placed in the office of president until Hillary Clinton was supposed to usher in the New World Order in 2016. So obviously that didn't happen, and that's because so many people are awake and aware and have embraced the truth.
And so tell people how this started, so the mind control aspect of this is amazing. So they actually have, been studying how to control people's minds. They can put you in some sort of trance, and they could then, you are then their robot to use as they want. So how did it start with you?
Well, I was deep in the swamp with the perpetrators that steal elections and fund their globalist agenda with drug and human trafficking, and who use mind control to usher in their agenda. And the formula for mind control is the same, whether it's of an individual, a nation, a military, a classroom, a church, or the world. And trauma is the basis of it. The formula for mind control came into the U.S. in the wake of World War II through Project Paperclip. And I encourage everybody, research that for yourself, look into it, because with them came the formula for mind control. And that trauma-based mind control had been found through the Hitler-Himmler research. There's no trauma more horrific on the human mind than sexual abuse of a child, prior to age 5 while the brain is still forming. That's because it shuts down the trauma, shuts down neuron pathways in the brain, represses it deep into the subconscious so the rest of the mind can develop and function normally. Well, as neuron pathways shut down, we become more suggestible and easily led. The fact that I was born into a multi-generational incest-based family made me a target for MK Ultra mind control. And it was so simple how it happened in my experience, because my father was sexually and ritually abused. My mother was sexually abused and trafficked to my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge. That Blue Masonic Lodge keeps all these secret societies are keeping secrets on mind control. Just like the National Security Act that came into play in 1947 has been used to suppress this pertinent information. And so the information on mind control has been kept from society for a long time. And that's where the local politicians and law enforcement hung out, at my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge. So my father's sexual abuse of me that started in infancy extended into child pornography. This was in Muskegon, Michigan, back in around 1960, because I was born in 1957, and I was used in the child pornography. I was also being trafficked to my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge to local politicians. And one of those local politicians realized my father had been caught sending child pornography of me through the U.S. mails, and told him he could receive immunity from prosecution if he would sell me into the CIA's MK Ultra mind control project.
So I'll stop there. I don't want YouTube to shut me down because of copyright stuff. So I am going to play a bit of Whitney Webb here, because
Why does the U.S. pay higher drug prices than other countries? PBMs charge billions in hidden fees. 340B.
Can you talk about Trump's limited release of the Epstein files?
Yeah, sure. So, obviously there was that big, highly publicized release of what was said to be phase 1 of the Epstein files, with a lot of, Twitter influencers and other figures given these binders. And obviously that didn't go over, I think, the way they anticipated it would, mainly because, the files themselves didn't really had been heavily hyped, including, among pro-Trump media figures. And then obviously the documents therein, most of which had been previously released and made publicly available, didn't live up to the hype. And then there was this effort to sort of say that, Pam Bondi didn't have all the documents, and it was this one office that was sort of withholding them. And so, supposedly FBI agents had been digging through them with the plans to release them. But then some of these figures that had promoted the Epstein releases previously in media, like Megyn Kelly, came out and said,
Takeda Pharmaceuticals, working to create better health for people and a brighter future for the world. With over 20,000 employees across the U.S. in research, manufacturing, treatment of disease, and plasma donation centers. Takeda Pharmaceuticals, better health, brighter future.
Stuff I want you to hear.
Wix gives you the freedom to tell your story.
As I understand it, these documents aren't really the bombshells. There's not really anything explosive in there. So there's been sort of this effort to, on the one hand, claim that more is to come, and then also downplay the significance of what will come out later. And as I understand it, the claims that were made about what the documents that were being allegedly withheld were related to documents generated by the FBI upon their raiding of Epstein's property in New York City in 2019. I have a few thoughts about that. One is it would be nice if the FBI would explain why Epstein's other residences were not raided, like the Zorro Ranch property in New Mexico, never raided. And then why, it took them a month to get to the island in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Little St. James. Be nice to know that. And of course, some of arguably some very important documents I believe could be obtained by the Department of Justice that are held not by the FBI, but the U.S. Virgin Islands, because there was this case involving the U.S. Virgin Islands and JP Morgan as it related to Epstein. And that case got settled out of court, so it didn't go to trial. But I believe those documents would be very, very, very telling. But I would argue the reason they won't come out is because one of the people subpoenaed as part of that investigation was Elon Musk.
Oh, wow.
He wasn't necessarily accused of wrongdoing, but was subpoenaed because he was suspected of having had some sort of involvement with Epstein and JP Morgan. And there are allegations, of course, not really allegations, but, it was reported, before Musk was closely affiliated with Trump that Epstein had been advising Tesla and was part of this effort in 2018 to take Tesla private. With Gulf oil money or Saudi money. And at the time, Epstein was advising Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, and was also known to have a close relationship with the elite families of the United Arab Emirates, and also Kuwait, and I think Bahrain as well. So perhaps they don't want to have that really be explored at this point. But some of the other figures that were subpoenaed and accused of wrongdoing, because in the case of the USVI case, it was specifically that JP Morgan's accounts with Epstein and relationship with Epstein was connected to the human trafficking, sex trafficking.
Why does the U.S. pay higher?
Okay, enough of the publicities. So that is, and Whitney Webb's book, and anybody wants to find out about. And with Epstein, it's not just, of course, these girls, that's not, that's not something that should be made light of, but what needs to be looked at is the entire network of the money and follow the money. And what are all these people doing? It is a production racket, and there is a lot of people involved in shady stuff, and it's also mismanagement of money. I mean, at the global level with the World Bank. Oh, I explained to a lady just today, I went right next to the World Bank and IMF, and downstairs from the Fed. In a nutshell, the problem has been that the World Bank since the 90s and the entire development community and international community has been developing a la American, McDonald's, shopping malls, freeways, fast food and fast women, and breakdown of family, breakdown of society. And you're seeing, I saw this personally in Spain. But you have what they call, just mentioned any of the bigwig economists, financial inclusion. There's too much in financial inclusion, but they'll be very impressed. So basically what that means is get everybody into the banking system instead of having their money underneath their mattresses and a black market economy and cash economy. You get everybody into banking systems, which I am pro. But if you don't have banking systems that are above board, then it's going to be a shit show. And that's what's been happening. So then, of course, you've got, unstable banking systems and financial markets, boom and bust. So what do you need? Quantitative easing by central banks. Throw that into another cocktail party. Oh, yes, they're doing too much quantitative easing. Quantitative easing basically means that they're throwing good money after bad, and the poor schmuck taxpayer is the one who's footing the bill. And that's also, I agree. That's one thing I agree with Alan Greenspan on. If somebody can explain to me Bitcoin and how that's not a Ponzi scheme and how it will eventually collapse, and oh Lord, that's going to be worse than the Twin Towers coming down. Then like, you people, this has not gone well any other time in history that it's been tried. Why do you think this time it's going to be different? So now I wanted to get to Tucker Carlson. I actually did contact his, because, well, I did another video on his dual national stuff. So I guess we'll just go to the beginning of his thing, because he makes a lot of good points. I agree with many, many, many things that Tucker Carlson has to say, that dual national, and that, people cannot have dual nationalities. If you go for a military, if you go and serve in a foreign military and a foreign army or whatever, like RFK Jr.'s son did in Ukraine, then you should lose your nationality. Well, I think that's drastic. So, I tried to contact Tucker Carlson and say, can you please clarify? Because you're even more radical than I am on the immigration stuff. And I'm pretty radical and pretty, hard, because I'm fighting to implement constitutions and democracies on both sides of the aisle. I have dual nationality. My children have 3. Well, I'm calling out the Spanish. That's my children's nationality. Spanish government, American government, and French government. And we can throw on the English government there because, okay, my family comes from England. This gets into all of our, this goes back to the American Revolution. So we're still on the same, point. So, yeah, that's our parents. So I can throw them in there too. Like, if I am contributing to these different countries and being a good citizen to all of these different countries, I mean, nobody would even want me in their military. They would send me home within a day. She's disturbing the troops. She's too pacifistic, and she's telling everybody to put down their arms. And she's being belligerent to the upper brass. I'm not gonna go and serve in any foreign wars or anything like that. But and that's what I defend. No, if you are making a positive contribution, more power to you. And if you have 2 nationalities, 3 nationalities, that's fine. Look at the royal families. They got them all over the place. But if you are doing anything illegal, and if you are conspiring to subvert democracy or subvert the rule of law in a country, well, yeah, no. I mean, if it's your nationality, throw them in prison, because those things are illegal. And if it's, somebody from another country, well, thank you very much. Would you please leave? Might be cheaper than going through prison. I mean, we do have to go through due process to deport anybody. That I've been real clear on.
Loves my country, and I think it's fair to demand that the people running my country love it every bit as much.
Okay.
Happy kids are successful kids. When you choose a tuition-free K-12 powered online.
I just wanna feel this in the home.
Oh gosh. Okay. Okay. I think it was 450. Yeah, that was Megyn Kelly. That's my other video. There we go, Tucker Carlson.
But I always forget what the walkout is like, and I feel like I'm going to have a seizure. Like, anyway, thank you so much for having me. This is more people in one place than I've seen since the last Charlie Kirk event I was at. So it's hilarious. So I noticed everyone's been talking about Epstein tonight, and I want to kind of differ from the crowd a little bit in saying that. I watched Ben Shapiro yesterday, and now before you boo me, I thought he made a really solid point. He's like, it happened a long time ago. Who cares? And by the way, we should trust the government. and whatever the bureaucrats tell us. And by the way, it's wrong to ask a lot of unauthorized questions. So I just want to go on the record to say I think that's absurd. And it's exactly the kind of thinking that I personally voted against in the last election. In the last election, I spent a lot of the month of October campaigning with and for the president. I voted for the president. I never vote for anybody generally. I know they're always telling you must vote or you can't have an opinion. Oh, shut up. I don't like to vote, but I did vote this time. And I don't like to vote because I don't believe in any of them. And this time I really felt like I know Trump well. I love Trump personally. And what we were looking at was just so awful and totalitarian and stupid. And it wasn't even the arguments that I disagreed with from the Kamala Harris. It's weird even to say her name now. Who was that exactly? It was like a bad dream. But it wasn't even so much the arguments I disagreed with, though I definitely disagreed with the arguments. It was the style of argument that drove me completely bonkers, summarized most crisply by "shut up, racist." Whatever you said, it was "shut up, racist." And it's like, but wait, first of all, I'm not a racist, but that's not even the point. The point is, I just told you what I think. I just asked you an entirely legitimate question, mostly, what the hell are you doing? And rather than answer it, you didn't pay me the respect that you would a human being. You treated me like a slave or an animal by telling me to stop barking. Shut up, racist. And I won't put up with that because I'm not a slave or an animal. I'm an American citizen, an adult man who pays his taxes. So, I ask people questions for a living, and very often I get answers that I don't care for, that I disagree with, that I think are stupid, but at least they're answers. At least the person responding is treating me like a human being with a soul created in the image of the Creator. He's paying me the respect that every human being is due. When you ask a direct question to someone in charge, you are due. That person is morally bound to give you an answer. He's not bound to agree with you, but he's bound to stop and answer your question. And the left never did that. They would dismiss you out of hand. You are not worth listening to. Be quiet. And that's, of course, where the impulse to censorship comes from. It comes from the belief that you don't deserve to speak because you're not fully human. They own you. And that's what I voted against above all. I voted against a million different things that I hated about the last administration. Their insane desire to start pointless wars around the world. Their total unwillingness to protect this country domestically, to protect the people who live here, to protect the territorial integrity of the country, bringing in tens of millions of people illegally, giving them free stuff the second they get here, making a mockery of citizenship. I hated all of that. I hated all of that. But the thing I hated most was their total unwillingness to answer any question about why they were doing what they were doing, because it was just too insulting. And every single time I would just feel like raising the middle finger and screaming obscenities, which is not an adult response, I'll concede, but that's how I felt. And I think that's really at the heart of why the Epstein thing is so distressing. I mean, the guy was some weird sex freak who was abusing girls. We knew that. But the fact that the US government, the one that I voted for, refused to take my question seriously and instead said, "Case closed, shut up, conspiracy theorist," was too much for me. And I don't think the rest of us should be satisfied with that. And by the way, let me just say really quickly, because I was so mad about it that I think I found out part of what's going on. I think we are going to find out more. And I think the truth, for whatever it's worth, in case you're interested, is that the DOJ didn't release lots of incriminating sex videos with Epstein and his billionaire pals because they don't have them. They don't have them because when the original search warrant was served, 2007, I think, possibly 2006, I think 7, it was basically designed to protect Epstein. The search warrant was written in such a way to make sure that the feds never got their hands on the actually incriminating evidence. It's another way of saying the cover-up has been going on since 2007, almost 20 years. And so the real question is not, was Jeffrey Epstein a weirdo who was abusing girls? Yes, we can answer that. The real question is, why was he doing this, on whose behalf, and where did the money come from? And those are the questions that need to be answered. And I think it's entirely fair to ask them. And it's not adequate to say anyone who asked them is somehow desecrating the memory of little girls who died in Texas. I'm not going to put up with that answer. I don't care who gives that answer. That is not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting US president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be.
That is what I have been beating my head up against a brick wall for 18 years now on for Americans abroad and Americans here on American soil. So, but I'm just a stupid homemaker. I'm just a stupid trophy wife. Yeah. Well, see, the misogyny is all over the place.
Forbidden, and yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not? And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry, when it's not. It's a baseline question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this? And by the way, if it turns out that it was nothing at all, that somehow Jeffrey Epstein really did earn $165 million giving tax advice to somebody, which is, for the record, a lot more than most people pay their accountants, and that none of this was actually a foreign intel operation, and that there was no blackmail involved, that actually Bill Gates was just hanging on the island because the weather was especially good. No one was videotaped doing anything immoral or illegal, and then that was used against them to get them to obey. If all of that is false, then just tell me how it's false. But don't call me a lunatic And when Fox News runs a piece, as they did yesterday by Hugh Hewitt, saying that anybody who's got even more questions about Epstein is some kind of nutcase with an unhappy personal life, who's spending too much time on Twitter in the fervid fever swamps of conspiracies, up yours, buddy. Then why don't you answer the question then? Don't let anybody insult you, anybody, and I mean anybody, ever get away with insulting you instead of answering a legitimate question. Okay? Ever. And by the way, you will hear
that has become of epidemic proportions. That's used all the time, and that's coming from the feminists and the witches. Both of the feminists and the anti-feminists. We'll see in a slide later. But that's got to stop. That's got to stop.
certain people say, well, that means you hate the person. No, it doesn't. I've got a bunch of kids. I would never let them get away with that. If I caught one of my kids, smoking weed in the bathroom at my house, and I was like, are you smoking weed in the bathroom? Shut up, racist. You hate me. No, you're my child. I don't hate you. Answer the freaking question. Were you smoking weed in the bathroom or not? I'm not the criminal here. You seem to be. So I just think it's...
Tucker Carlson, smoking weed is, please, get off of that. I've seen you talking about how you snorted cocaine back in the 80s. So let's not, get on the high horse on that one. And believe me, if everybody would get off their frickin' Xanax and all of their goddamn pharmaceuticals and get them on some weed, it'd be a much better country.
Really important to get into that headspace. And even now, when people talk about this topic, I can promise you, since I spent all day on the phone yesterday on this topic with informed people, they're like whispering certain words. And I'm like, why are we whispering? Why should I be ashamed as an American about wanting to know what the hell that just was? Why should I be embarrassed? I'm not the bad guy here. Why should I be embarrassed to ask what's in this war for us? We got to go to war. Shut up. You're a bigot if you don't want it. First of all, I'm not a bigot. But second, that's kind of not the point. The point is, what's in it for us? Why is this a good idea? Shut up. And it's exactly the style of argument that I voted against, and I will never accept it. I don't care who does it. I will never accept that. Give me a legitimate answer, a reasonable answer, a sincere answer, a good faith answer. We may disagree. You may say, as a good friend of mine who's like totally deranged, but a good person, said to me yesterday, Iran is the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. Reading the talking point that apparently everyone, a bumper sticker that is for sale somewhere, I guess. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know what that means exactly, but how many Americans have been killed by Shia terrorism in my lifetime, which is 56 years? I can't think of any. I'm sure there have been some in the United States. There have been Shia terror attacks sponsored by Iran in the US. I can't think of any. There was 9/11. That was a Sunni terror attack. And then there's the drug epidemic, which has killed more than 1 million people during that same period. People I know, my next door neighbor's kid, dead. People, a bunch of people I know have died, and a bunch have been totally screwed up and taken out of life, basically. Their lives have been hollowed out. They're husks. They've been totally destroyed by drugs. That's the reality that I live in the United States. So you're telling me Iran is a bigger threat than the...
Okay, so the drug problem, and Tucker is guilty of this. Gotta stop. Let's get rid of the drugs. Let's get rid of the drugs. Let's get rid of the drug addicts. Okay? No drug addicts. Nobody who needs drugs. Look at the Kennedy family. Look at Ethel Kennedy and her children. The women, they become just as much of a bitch as Ethel. Now, the kids, Bobby Kennedy, he knows. Now, he will never, he's just changed one addiction for another, because until he confronts the reality of an abusive mother and how that damaged his psyche, and particularly, my Lord, they lost their uncle, then they lost their father, and she had a breakdown, and the kids paid for it. Now, we've got to stop just, oh, we got to get rid of the drugs. We got to get rid of the drugs until we get rid of the reason why there is so much drug addiction, not only in the United States, everywhere, and get to the root of the problem. I mean, you cut out you don't cut out the tumor, the cancer will keep on growing.
The people peddling this garbage? I don't think so. Not where I live, it's not. Oh, shut up. And the person literally said, you know, we're going to have to agree to disagree. Disagree with what? What are you even talking about? But at least he gave me an answer. He didn't say, oh, you hate so-and-so. He didn't go immediately to motive. Okay, so this is always the tell. This is when you know you're dealing with someone who has zero interest in getting to the truth of the question and instead is trying to make you be quiet in order to roll over you and make you obey. And the tell is when they go immediately to motive. Well, you just hate some group, or you're taking money from some other group. And neither one happens to be true in my case, but I always feel like saying, well, okay, what if I am getting paid? Or what if I have some kind of creepy bigotry? Which I don't, because I think it's immoral. God created individuals, each one knows the hairs on your head, each person has a soul. No person is seen by God as a member of a group. Each person is seen by God as an individual. So I don't like that. And I really don't. I'm not just saying that. And I mean every individual on the planet, regardless of what he looks like or what he believes. That is true of every person. And I sincerely mean that. But even if I didn't, maybe I was some like full wacko. And maybe I was like taking tons of money from some bad country, one of the bad countries you're not allowed to talk about or like. Qatar! That's the most hilarious. Qatar is kind of controlling our conversation. Qatar, evil Qatar. I am laughing. I've actually been to Qatar. It's awesome. Never taken $1 from the Qataris or the Qataris or whatever they're called. It's a great country. But whatever. But even if I was like on the payroll of Qatar, which I guess I can't now. But anyway, even if I was, it still wouldn't make the question any less relevant. Why is this a good idea? And their refusal to answer that question lets you know right away that you are not dealing with a person of good faith. You're dealing with a propagandist who is trying to control you. And I would say at exactly that point, that's when you say out loud, I know who you are. This is all fake. You can't even answer the question. You're trying to make me shut up because I'm a bigot, like the liberals did 7 months ago. And that's why we voted them out. So I'm not putting up with that. I voted against this and I won't tolerate it. So the second point I would make, before maybe taking a couple of your hostile questions, I hope about Qatar, is I was brooding about this today. What about the Epstein story is so uniquely infuriating? And I'll just say, I mean, I've never met Epstein, but I mean, I know a million people who knew Jeffrey Epstein. It is true that he was around. Like everyone knew Jeffrey Epstein. I don't think I was cool enough to actually meet him, but like he was just a guy who was kind of circulating around, like this rich guy who knew everybody. What is it about?
It reminds me of prep school and high school. I mean, come on, everybody. You can't, the adults. Can't we find some adults to come into the room?
And everyone knew he was a creep, but then there are a lot of creeps in that world. Just telling you what you probably know already. What is it about Jeffrey Epstein that's so infuriating to people, so infuriating that it's actually causing seismic political problems? And I hope that they'll address it and it'll get better. I really do. But what is it? I'll tell you what it is. It's the frustration of normal people watching a certain class of people get away with everything every single time. That's what it is.
And he hit it on the nail. But I remember, as the saying used to go, yeah. I mean, that started in the 80s. You can't arrest me. I'm a Kennedy. I mean, we used to laugh about it. No, you can't arrest me. I'm a Kennedy. And there's not a Kennedy who has been arrested who hasn't used it.
And that drives me absolutely bonkers. By the way, it's one of the things that bothers me about immigration. You know, as someone who got arrested in Syracuse, New York as a kid because I had an expired driver's license and brought to a cell, I'm watching people come, that actually happened. I have done time, it does change a man. Yes, I joined a gang. But I watch, 60 million people come into the country illegally.
He joined a gang at St. George's in Rhode Island prep school. I mean, you talk about one of a luxury prep school, they even have their own yacht.
Legally or overstay their fake refugee status or whatever. I mean, the whole thing's a scam, and they get housing vouchers and free education and free cell phones and plane tickets. It's like, wait a second, not only are they not getting punished for breaking American law, as I would and have, they're getting rewarded for it. The unfairness of it drives you crazy, and it's...
Yeah, okay, yes, Mr. Carlson. And when I got to the United States, finally I made it out alive of Spain. Amnesty International said I had 0.25% chance of survival in 2008. And I got here, not only could I barely find a job to keep a roof over my head, the first one I get is the IMF Family Association. I do such a wonderful job. The bitch chair, Anne Beatrice Keller, she takes credit for my work and goes to HR and gets rid of me. And I have no recourse. Well, I'll put the links to all of my court cases. Then I'm 7 years, I've got 2 lawsuits against the IMF for labor rights violation, discrimination, because I represent white privilege, and illegal firing. But just like when I was abroad, I have no rights because I'm American who represents white privilege. So listen to Tucker Carlson when he, he's got his trust funds. Yeah, a whole slew of people over at Foxcroft I know, all of the robber baron heiresses, yeah, they're sitting pretty with their trust funds. Some of us don't have trust funds and need to survive by our wits and our hard work. And that's where the problem is.
Particularly galling in the case of Jeffrey Epstein and the whole constellation of people around Jeffrey Epstein, all of whom seem to be getting away with scams. And how do you know they're getting away with scams? I'll tell you how, because they're useless and they're rich. So how do you come to a place?
Welcome to Washington, useless and rich.
Place where some of the least impressive, most useless people who have no actual skills become billionaires. How's that legitimate? And by the way, if you ask this question, at least in Washington, it's like, oh, well, yeah, it sounds like you're a socialist. Sounds like socialism. Yeah, okay, I'm a socialist now. All right. I was a Qatari agent or a bigot. Now I'm a...
I've gotten that one all my life. I mean, I just laugh at him. I'm the biggest capitalist you'll ever want to meet. And if Tucker Carlson, he's an economist, supposedly. If he'd listen to me, I think he'd agree on what we need to do in order to turn the economy around.
Socialist, all right. Leaving aside my committed socialism, can you answer the question? How did Bill Ackman get $9 billion? Bill Ackman, a pretty impressive guy? I know Bill Ackman. No. Bill Ackman's like well-connected and super aggressive. That's it. And I think,
Yeah, that's the recipe for success. You have the right context. I mean, I've been looking for, again, my whole case started in Spain because my ex-husband didn't want me working. And when I started a business that was going to, Microsoft was interested in it. And that's when everything went south. But so, yeah, this has got to stop. And when I'm looking through, I've been looking there for 18 years for partners and capital venture money. I mean, I've gone through all the capital ventures, 70 to 90% failure rates for these guys. But no, they're serial, entrepreneurs. So we keep on, this is the little group of people who get the money. It's a real restricted world. And it's all filled with techie liberals. And that's really where the problem is. It's, you talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, it's all a bunch of bullshit.
well-connected, super aggressive people deserve a fair living like everybody else. But if you're accruing $9 million just because you're willing to do anything, I don't know why we have to pretend that's good. How did Epstein get 4 Gulf Streams? How did he get an island, a massive ranch in New Mexico, the biggest house in New York? Like, what is that? Like, at some point, the basic economics really matter. And they matter because, not that it's bad that rich people are getting richer, it's bad that everyone else is getting poorer. And it's especially bad that young people can't afford homes. Let me just put a very precise point on this. If you want a measure of how your economy is doing, I personally favor eliminating GDP as a measure. I don't even know what that is. It's clearly not relevant. They tell me Japan has a stagnant GDP. Have you been to Tokyo? It's the single most radicalizing experience you'll ever have because it's just so nice. You lost the war? Really? Can we lose a war and wind up like this? GDP. No. I don't know what even that is. The total economic activity. Oh, no. My measure is really simple. I got a bunch of kids. Can they afford houses with full-time jobs at like 27, 28? And the answer is no way. And the answer is that 35-year-olds with really good jobs can't afford a house unless they stretch and go deep into debt. And I just think that's a total disaster. That's a complete disaster. Why? 2 reasons. One, if people don't own things, they don't feel ownership of the country they're in. And the country gets super volatile because people feel like they've got nothing to lose. When you have a lawn, trust me, you're thinking long term. Second, it's really hard to have a family without a house. It is. It's like super fun to live in an apartment if, there's like a bar downstairs, you're in a cool neighborhood. I'm in East Village, it's so cool. Try to have 3 kids. You're not gonna have 3 kids there, you can't. Nobody wants to raise their kids in that neighborhood. Nobody wants to raise their kids in an apartment. People do it because they have to, nobody wants to. People want a little house, not some McMansion, just a little normal house. That is the actual American dream. And that is what is totally unattainable for young people. And so the only young people in general that you will ever meet who have houses are young people whose parents help them. And God bless their parents. That's a perfectly great thing to do for your kids. But most people's parents can't afford to do that because they're already in debt from their pointless college degree. So that is a national emergency. And I know that there are certain cable channels who are spending all this time talking about, they're about to elect a socialist in New York City, which obviously I'm opposed to it.
Oh gosh, yeah. No, but he's right. About the economy. However, he has to stop just, they can't afford it, they can't afford it, they can't afford it. Everybody needs to also start looking at their spending habits. I mean, spend. Oh no, and I can't buy a house. I mean, that's, it's a two-edged sword, and the American people need to also understand that, they're selling their souls just so they can keep on shopping and shopping and shopping. Oh, God.
He's not even a real socialist. He's like a trainee vax, rich kid liberal guy. Mom Donnie. He's a fake leftist, but whatever. Why do you think that's happening? One of the reasons it's happening is because normal people with normal jobs no longer believe they can win in this system, and that all the money is going to the worst people. And no one even stops to ask, what the hell is going on? How did Bill Ackman get so rich? I know he went on CNBC and talked down Herbalife. Bet against companies by driving down their stock prices.
Yeah, that's basically with Tucker Carlson. I have done, at the end of that, he talks about dual nationals and how they shouldn't be able to serve in the government, and foreigners. Now, foreigners, yeah, dual nationals, yeah, I have a separate video on that because I really don't agree with him on those issues. I've contacted him and hopefully he'll respond. So let's, Tucker Carlson, this on his family.
Why does the United States pay higher drug prices than other countries? Because America's the only country in the world weighed down with 340B hospital markups and PBM middleman fees, driving up costs for everyone. Meanwhile, Americans subsidize the...
Well, I'm saying, stop doing so much drugs and stop having such an unhealthy society, and the pharmaceutical companies wouldn't be able to own the country.
Narrowly loaded just from like money I, inherited. I've never needed to work.
Tucker Carlson is one of the most recognizable figures in conservative media, known for his sharp rhetoric, combative interview style, and ability to provoke controversy with every broadcast. But behind the public persona of a fiery television host lies a far more complicated personal history, one defined by abandonment, familial conflict, and legal strife. A troubled childhood and maternal abandonment.
I had periods in my younger life when I, partied too much, for real. Not just have like too many beers at a party, but like actually partied too much, again, for real. So,
which in the 60s when we grew up, Carlson's, I think he's a bit younger than I am. Everybody was snorting cocaine. My favorite is Doug Scharr. He told me, this is the son of Dwight Scharr. He said, the real estate mogul in DC. But Doug, he said to me, oh yeah, the last time I saw Cornelia in New York, she was on a baby grand doing a strip tease with lines of cocaine all over the place. This is one of the reasons why I left the United States in the 80s. If you don't like it, leave. Well, I did that. I came back, and this time I'm not leaving, and I'm going to kick some butt.
I look back on that and I think, I learned some stuff from those experiences, but I also wonder, like, why did I behave that way? But I decided, with that, I never talk about this because I never want to seem whiny. And again, I interpret my childhood as a really positive thing. But, our mom was not a fan of us and was pretty direct about it. And, that's obviously hurts when you're little, but then I realized you can't control it. You just can't control it.
Tucker Carlson's early years were defined by the loss of his mother, Lisa McNear Lombardi, who left the family when he was just 6. Lisa was a bohemian artist who prioritized her creative pursuits over traditional family obligations. She separated from her husband, Richard Carlson, and moved to Los Angeles, where she immersed herself in the art world, completely detaching from her 2 young sons. For Tucker and his younger brother, Buckley, their mother's absence was profound. She didn't attempt to maintain contact, did not visit, and did not send letters. Her departure was so complete that when she died decades later in 2011, her will left each of her sons only a single dollar. Tucker rarely speaks about his mother, and when he does, it's with scorn, once calling her a bohemian and dismissing her as an unsuitable parent.
And your mother doesn't like you. Okay, boo-hoo. It sounds really terrible, but it's not sort of up to me how she feels. And so I think in later life, the lesson that I internalized from that was you really can't control how other people feel. And so you just kind of have to be happy with who you are.
Lisa's departure was not just an emotional loss, but a psychological one. A mother's presence often provides stability and nurturance, and in Lisa's absence, the Carlson boys were left to navigate childhood without a maternal figure. Her choice to completely sever ties with her children was unusual, even in cases of divorce. Most parents maintain some form of communication, but Lisa seemed to have removed herself entirely.
Yeah, well, parents who can, this is what I'm fighting for, is I've been separated and alienated from my children who are everything to me. Let's see what Tucker Carlson has, this interview. He makes some good points. I even did a clip of something. He had it's very sad. I can't imagine a mother doing that. I fight day and night to be reunited with my children. And I'm furious with everyone who's been involved too. I don't want to get involved in any unpleasantness. My favorite is, the discrimination and marginalization from society and poverty I've been thrown into is because, it's normal because it's payback for all the discrimination of all of the white Americans in this country. I'm like, well, you know what? That's not me, and it wasn't my grandfather. My grandfather was the first white lawyer to successfully defend a black man in the Deep South in 1910 in Butler, Alabama. So yeah, that's not. It's also my brother told me that. I'm like, we have the same grandfather. Like, excuse me, no, I'm not going to take it. My Lord, I mean, I have never been racist against anybody, and I'm constantly, I'm furious with everybody. You treat everybody with respect, and you stop this attitude of all the bitches and assholes that run Washington. Listen to Tucker Carlson.
Do you want to own a country, not have to pay taxes, and be served by robots and artificial intelligence?
You can go where?
When you told your wife, my career is changing after 14 years, did her reaction surprise you?
She thought they were really anti-Christian.
What is wrong with Elon?
You can't have two alpha bitches in the same kitchen. I just had that actually over the 4th of July. You know what I mean?
What is the hype on nicotine?
I would prepare to be as aware as you've ever been. Don't let other women shame you into thinking working in a bank is better than raising children, because it's not. And it's women who enforce, in a very fascist way, that lie. Oh, what do you do? I don't know. I'm doing the only thing that really matters, which is raising children. How's that?
So, go through the whole, there's the link there and the video there. You can watch it, but it's worth watching, because I agree. And the whole thing about, raising children, it's the most important job. I mean, my God, people always, oh, you missed the boat, so why don't you just throw yourself off a bridge and do everybody a favor first? Inciting somebody to suicide is illegal. Thank you very much. You guys pulled that on Mary Richardson, the Kennedy family. I mean, I want to find out what Carrie Kennedy said to Mary 2 days before she killed herself. Just, there is no job. I mean, my Lord, I worked in the financial markets up on Capitol Hill. I mean, I walked away from all of that shit and thankful. God, this whole thing of power and control and high power careers. And I mean, I have had it. You can't believe how horrible it is in Washington. I mean, the PhDs, every time I talk to a PhD, I'm like, can I please take that diploma and stick it where you know where? It's infuriating. And the lawyers will do nothing. Ed Martin, please, he got a letter from me. Janine Pirro, I don't know how they pronounce it here. Pirro. It's like, just ignore. Now, this gets into the freedom of speech. Now, Tucker Carlson, I love Tucker Carlson banned from speaking at his alma mater, St. George's School. Here, let's take a look at St. George's School. So this is in Rhode Island. It's an Episcopalian boarding school, and as I say, I've got some videos here of the luxury surroundings. That's what, this is really getting obscene. All of these boarding schools, these exclusive prep schools on the East Coast. I mean, you talk about a country club, just the most luxurious surroundings. But I mean, the education, well, now they've all gone woke. And this comes my question, where are all of the alumni? What are all of the alumni doing? So this, of course, like all of them, I won't go into all of the description of it. The school began admitting Black students in 1963, female day students in 1971, and female boarders in 1972. Oh, Lord. That was one thing. I was at Foxcroft. I did look at Choate, And, you know, I have to admit, even when I was in my teens, going, my Lord, they must have a real hard problem having boys and girls together in a boarding school where everybody's sleeping here night and day and weekends as well, because there's many places you can hide. I was like, that must be very challenging. But it's one thing when it's between the students. Another thing when it's the teachers or the faculty and students there, which did happen. 2015, 2016, sexual abuse investigation. Now, this was during the sexual abuse cases. Most of them happened when Susan Andrews, Tucker Carlson's wife, it was her father who was the headmaster at the time. So, oh, well, I love this. Finally, the report confirms that St. George's currently has state-of-the-art programs and policies to address sexual misconduct, bullying, and hazing. Are you kidding? I couldn't believe it. With Foxcroft, they were doing, it was online, an interview for the new headmistress. And I still want the tapes. I've asked for the tapes for all of that. They said you could get it, and because I was only present for one of those, but I couldn't believe the interview. One of the questions that was asked was about how she would handle the problem of the epidemic of suicides. And, you know, it was like, well, we have to, you know, handle the kids, but you also don't want to disrupt school. I mean, I'm like, when is everybody going to start saying, what is happening here? Epidemic of suicide, epidemic of you know, drugs, cocaine, opioids, fentanyl. You know, you can't keep up. Then the moms are popping pills all over the place. I mean, this country is really in shambles. Now, I showed in my first presentation, you know, how you have the political, commercial, and the social arenas. And the social arena, with all of the women going into the workforce, nobody wants to be a mom, nobody wants to be a homemaker, nobody wants to be a wife, and the country's going to shit. Now, admittedly, because Lord, a lot of the parenting, how should I say, styles that come from our heritage with the English, and that violent past. I mean, they used to draw and quarter people. They'd cut off your hands if you were caught stealing. Remind anybody of anything that's going on today in some of these countries we complain about? I mean, this has been going on for a long time. Oh, I love it. I guess that St. George's was mentioned in the official Preppy handbook. I remember when that came out. That was the same time Cornelia came out with her book, The Debutante's Guide to Life. God, I mean, revival of the debutante party. Prince Philip said, oh, they're bloody daft. This was in the 50s. And Princess Margaret said, every tart is getting in. And I agree, oh my Lord, that's been a social climbing tool, just like these prep schools. So notable alumni, excuse me. Vincent Astor, I wonder, because there was Brooke Astor who was abused. I don't think that was her, I forget, because she was Astor by marriage. So that's another. So, we've got Vincent Astor, John Jacob Astor the fifth, John Jacob Astor the sixth, Leonard Bacon. I'm not sure if that's of the Bacon family. Oh, Livingston Biddle, the Biddle family. Oh, Lordy Lord. Okay, Pam Biddle is from Foxcroft, but yeah, that was a scandal. Her father was gay. I was like, gosh, come on, this is better. The gay people live their lives how they want and not go through some with all the gossiping ladies. So the Biddle family came over in the Mayflower. And in fact, there is the Mayflower Madam of, let's Google that, of the Biddle family, who, what, like, this is no different than Ghislaine Maxwell. Here, where's the, okay. She was an American businesswoman and socialite who became known as an escort agency owner under the name Sheila Devon. She later became known as the Mayflower Madam. She has since become a management consultant and writer. Okay, she does the same stuff, just without the sex. In October 1984, her escort service was disbanded, and after pleading guilty and being fined $5,000 for promoting prostitution, she wrote a 1986 autobiography, Mayflower Madam, The Secret Life of Sydney Biddle Bowers. A TV movie based on the book, starring Candice Bergen, was broadcast in 1987 under the title Mayflower Madam. Bower comes from the Biddle family of Philadelphia, and descendant of the, that's how she got the name. But okay, so yeah, we got the Biddle family there. Julie Bowen, I'm not sure, I'm not familiar. Oh, she's an American actress. She starred as Claire Dunphy in the ABC sitcom Modern Family. Oh Lord, Modern Family, yeah. Okay, Modern Family, I never saw that one. I have to see what their idea of a modern family is. Let's see, John Nicholas Brown, not familiar. Billy Bush, Prescott Bush. Tucker Carlson, yeah, we already know that. Let's see, Peter Cook, anchor, American anchor, Washington anchor, Bloomberg Television. Oh, don't get me started on Bloomberg. Philippe Cousteau, this must be Jacques Cousteau's son. Yeah, grandson of Jacques Cousteau. Okay, yeah, Jacques Cousteau, not as upstanding as I think we've been led to believe. Let's see, Charles Dean, brother of Howard Dean. Howard Dean, wasn't he, no. He was chair of the Democratic National Committee from 2005 to 9. Well, of course. He's got his hand. I mean, anybody who's been in the Democratic or Republican Party in the past 60 years, they need to be looked at with open eyes. Kimberly Drew, I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with her, an American influencer and writer, but she's contemporary. So yeah, see, this is our diversity, equity, and inclusion has given us this. She goes by the social media handle Museum Mammy. She released her first book, This Is What I Know About Art. Okay, definitely a woke liberal, illiberal. Philip Drinker, let's see. Oh, inventor of the first commercially viable iron lung. See, that was 1911. If you look at go on to Wikipedia, all of these schools, and look at their notable alumni, you'll see the transformation of the ruling elite over the years. Let's see, Robert Gross, American founder and president of the Lockheed Corporation. He was featured in the Aviator. William Hayes, leading authority on Egyptian history. Oh my Lord, there's so much coming out about the UFO, the Martians and the ancient civilizations, and lots of interesting stuff coming about that. It's fascinating. But see, that's also been a pay to play game for many, for generations, probably since it started. Let's see, Chrissy Houlihan. Who is she? Oh, Lord. Okay. American politician, engineer, and former United States Air Force officer, a member of the Democratic Party, of course. You know, all of these having it all women, I'm sorry. I want to see, I'd like to see your children. See, this is where I'm like, okay, you tell me you're having it all. Let's see how your kids came out. And let's see, you know, your husband. Oh, like, oh, there's a lot of them who are committing suicide, excuse me. Just like Catherine Graham of the Washington Post, her husband committed suicide, and he was going to leave her, and I'm sure she just, you know, beat him down. This has got to stop. I mean, you know, you want men to treat women with respect, you got to treat men with respect as well. So anyway, we can go on and on. Let's see. As I say, you can go on in here. Ivan Obolinsky. Let's see, an American financial analyst and corporate officer. He was previously commissioned in the United States Navy. Oh, member of the Astor family. Oh, I think this was some noble that someone married. Oh, see that, you know, after, well, by World War I, the royals in Europe were self-destructing, and that's where had lost all their money, so all of them are marrying rich American heiresses and heirs. Yeah, that you know, no, that's not the way to go. Whitney Tower. That's of the Whitney family, surely. Let's see. Oh, Russell Train, founder and past president of the World Wildlife Fund. Yes, well, that's another that one of these woke things that may be well intentioned when it started, just like Greenpeace, but even Greenpeace's founder was like, yeah, no, this is not good, and left. They were going down a very, very bad path. So that's oh, this is too funny. So that's the Wikipedia. Let's see. Oh, here's the report of documents decades of abuse at St. George's School. And these issues are not being addressed at all. You know, some fancy program that sounds really good. Lots of people, you know, oh, and it's under advisement. We have this 5-step approach. And yeah, that's just not, here, there's a Facebook that gives you a nice of the campus.
Place. I feel so grateful to call this campus home.
It's a place where I can be myself, where I can learn so much in the classrooms,
Hang out with my friends in the dorms.
eat with my classmates in King Hall,
and a place where we all celebrate each other's talents and successes.
If there's one thing you can count on at St. George's, it's seeing friendly, smiling faces around campus.
And see
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to attend St. George's, prepare ourselves for the future, and make lifelong friends and memories.
The one word I would use to describe my SG experience is
Vibrant,
Transformative,
growth,
developmental,
inspiring,
unforgettable, home.
The St. George's Fund is the foundation on which everything at SG is made possible. Your generosity ensures that the school can continue to live out our mission, providing students exceptional educational opportunities in and out of the classroom, and fostering a vibrant and inclusive school community. Please join me in supporting the SG Fund and help make a difference for our Dragons today.
Yeah, so see, give us some money. We charge, I don't know how much they charge. Foxcroft these days is $70,000 for Americans and $77,000 for foreigners per year. High school. So let's here's, let's see what it's students.
It makes a very big difference living in a dorm that is easy to live in.
When I have that feeling of comfort and feel like I'm at home, I'm able to be more comfortable doing all the things you can do here at St. George's, like stay out late studying or working on other passions that you have.
Living already in a dorm on campus.
Stay up late studying, partying. Yeah, I remember, I think, what was it, 2016 Foxcroft? They expelled 6 girls. One of them was the head of school for drugs or drinking or whatever. That's been a problem since I was
Such, I guess, game changer because it made me realize, and obviously going to those different colleges, how their facilities aren't as good as ours.
I think it makes the experience of living away from home a little bit more comforting.
The residential life at SG is pretty important for me as well. I lived in West this year, and it was such a tight community. We celebrate birthdays together with my friends, and it's just like a beautiful experience at SG.
There's so many dorm bonding activities, and like your dorm is like an extension of your family.
I really appreciate the community that has been established here. Just, I feel like I am able to really recognize how welcoming everyone is and how involved everyone is in each other's lives in a positive way, sort of like being very supportive of everything that's going on campus.
Yeah. Yeah, just about. I mean, I remember when I arrived at Foxcroft, I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. Everybody comes from a really dysfunctional family, so I'm not a freak. I'm like normal. So these kids come from, did you see her, the kid? Yeah, it feels like home. I mean, your school feels like home. For me, I was like, never would I send my kids off to boarding school. And then I was separated from them at 15, 16. And I mean, the only thing that keeps me going and fighting is to be reunited with them. Well, here, there, see, they even have a yacht. And they go off.
So we just put up the American flag. This is something we do at 8 o'clock every morning. We took it down at sunset last night. And that's sort of just part of like seafaring tradition.
And how many kids that come out of public schools that they don't even know how to read and write? I certainly don't know how to speak, my Lord. I'm dealing with them in places of work. This is a crisis. And I mean, I'm furious with Tiffany Justice. I am the first to say she's done an excellent job in building the structure of Moms for Liberty, the chapters, the way that the structure is, getting all of these women to get together, even if they squabble, is a feat in itself. So that's chapeau. But I mean, the problems in the schools in this country are as much in the prep schools and the upper crust schools as the rest of it, the public schools and all of the rest of the other schools in this country. There is a crisis and it needs to be addressed. Not going off some war, spend that money here on not just throw money into this, but get some competent people in as teachers and administrators. Listen to Tucker Carlson being banned.
I find, and I found honestly in my exchanges with the administration at St. George's, a total resistance to having anybody who they don't agree with, even in the same world. Like, I'm not on your campus right now because the campus that I went to and donated to and sent my 3 children to, because they wouldn't let me come. And why wouldn't they let me come? Well, of course, because they hate my politics. And my feeling was, well, that's wrong. First of all, I want to be there. I want to meet the kids. I want to see the kids. And I feel like it'd be good for everyone to have this happen. And I don't want a mandatory chapel where everyone has to come and hear me. I don't believe in that. I don't want to press my views on people who don't want to hear them. Let's just have an event where everyone who wants to come can come. And people who don't want to come don't have to come. I don't think you should, again, I don't think you should force your views on anyone. I don't believe in that, okay? I really don't believe in that. They did it to me at St. George's and I didn't like it. And I said so at the time. And so I tried to get a straight answer from the school, like, well, can I come or can I not? No one would answer. So I finally called the head's office. He wouldn't call me back for like over a week. So I called again, he finally called me back. And I said, can I come or not? I could not get a straight answer. And knowing, of course, it was political, but it was like hilarious, the lengths that they went to keep me from doing this. And so I said, but what is the problem? And ultimately, the headmaster, Mr. Wirtz, as he called himself to me, says, well, we're worried you would garnish national media attention. I was like, garnish? Like the parsley on your steak? What are you even talking about? I think you mean garner. I was like, do you really run St. Is this really the headmaster? Do you really run that school? Anyway, so, and I said, but if Oprah wanted to come, was more famous than I am, could she come? Whoa, that's a theoretical. Anyway, I can't get an answer. So then I get another call from a board member, and he's like, well, actually, the real problem is the students don't want you to come. They don't like you. They're embarrassed to tell you. They just don't want to see you. They think you're kind of embarrassing. They don't want you to come. And I was like, okay, you're not hurting my feelings, but this Henry kid seems smart. If he wants me to come, then I'll go sit in a basement room and I'll talk to Henry for an hour and I'll leave. No, you can't. Just wait another year. I was like, this is really crazy. And they're like, basically, they're like, the faculty hate you so much you're not allowed on campus. So then ultimately, 2 days ago, I get another call saying, we have a new reason you can't come. And the new reason is it's just not safe. And if you come on campus, people could be killed. And I'm like, what? On campus, people could be killed? Yeah, they'll be killed because people who like you are going to be violent and I guess kill the kids or something, or people who hate you are going to kill the kids. And I was like, this is too crazy. What if you have security, right? And they're like, well, our security aren't armed. I was like, your security aren't armed? What? I sent 3 kids there. If I knew you didn't have armed security, I wouldn't have sent my kids there. They're like, well, we have protocols. So I was like,
I'm not sure. Like Foxcroft, if they had like armed guards at the front of the school and patrolling the school, I'm like, I'd be like, whoa, oh, wait a second. We're even worse state of affairs than I thought.
Got middle-aged guys with iPhones calling the cops. I'm a middle-aged guy calling cops on the iPhone. This is so nuts. Like, no, it's just too dangerous. So then I was like, look, I'm just sick of the lying. Henry seems like a nice kid. He asked me to come. You're not going to let me on campus because you hate my politics. Ultimately, I'm like, so you won't have, I said, I'll bring our...
This poor kid who asked Tucker Carlson to come, that he must have been, from everybody. The poor child.
Security will protect everybody. No, we can't do that. We have a no guns policy. I was like, how are you protecting the kids with security guards with no guns? Well, we are. I said, if Joe Biden wanted to come to your campus, would you try to disarm the Secret Service before he came? And the response I got from the head of the board was, well, that's a theoretical. I was like, if Joe Biden wanted to come with Abrams tanks and F-16s, you would allow him because you like Joe Biden. I mean, like, stop lying to me. I just can't deal with it. Why don't you just say, we don't like your politics. We think you're scary. You can't get anywhere near the campus that you went to and were married on and sent all your kids to. And I would be like, okay, that's fine. But rather than just say it to me, we had to get into this whole passive...
See, okay, that's fine. We'll see how I respond with Foxcroft when I am banned from speaking with them.
Aggressive lying cycle where no one can just be direct. And I just have total contempt for that. I really do. And I felt sorry for the kids who go there. Like, you want to respect people who are honest and direct. And anyway, I just didn't get...
I mean, feel sorry for the kids who go there. My God, as I said, we're talking $70,000 a year, more or less. As I said, I'm not sure exactly what St. George is charging, but that's what the going rate is these days. So, no, like, oh, okay, no, what the ban? What the frick are you people talking about? No, it's not okay. It's not okay.
That, and it made me really worry a lot.
I mean,
because
what kind of education are these kids getting? Indoctrination.
See, education is absolutely impossible under those circumstances.
Yeah.
Where you don't trust the people educating you, where you don't think that they're sincere enough and confident enough to tell you right to your face what they think. They have to make up some story about how it's unsafe. I was like, really? Has Middletown gotten that bad? Is it really that dangerous in Middletown? Are you serious? Anyway, it was really a crazy experience, and I'm grateful that I can do this on Zoom and the school made it possible, but they had like an emergency meeting of the faculty this morning because I was doing a Zoom call, and I was like, just please take some time to educate the kids. Calm down. Not going to hurt anybody. Ideas you don't agree with are not dangerous. In fact, they should be welcome. You should be happy to hear them.
This is the antithesis of
too funny.
It's about.
So who do you think should be making these decisions about who can speak publicly at St. George's or at boarding schools at large, and who should not?
Well, I'll tell you who should not be. I'll tell you who should not be making these decisions are the faculty. The faculty are employees. Now, I've been an employee almost my whole life. And when you're the employee, you don't get to make policy decisions. You are hired like any other employee.
Oh, he hit it on the nail. This is one of the problems with the civil servants, frickin' lowly secretaries. Ooh, IMF, World Bank, don't even get me started on all of that. Yeah, that is be in my bonnet. I get it. But yeah, you do not make
any other employee, and that would include your waiter, that would include me, your talk show host, that would include your English teacher. You don't get to make the policies, and if you don't like the policies, you don't have to work there. The people who make the policies are the head of the school, in this case, Mike Wirtz, and the board of trustees. That's their job. And so the idea that the faculty, again, who should have...
Thank you. He said the head of school and the board of trustees. We'll see with Foxcroft.
No policy-making authority at all are scaring the administration, the new head, which is what's happening, and the board into like keeping someone off campus because they don't like his politics. That's major dysfunction, in my opinion. And it's bad. It's not good for the school. It's not good for the kids. No, I think the school should be making that decision. And I even said to the school, look, I get it. You don't like my politics, and that's totally fine. I don't like your politics, but it doesn't mean that I don't like you or I don't want to hear you. But why don't you just write a letter and say, we're having Tucker Carlson on campus. As a matter of record, we want to state that we don't like his politics at all. But we believe in the free exchange of ideas, and we think that students should have access to different ideas. And I went and looked at the speakers list at St. George's and who has spoken in chapel, and I think those are compulsory. You have to go. And it was, trans activist, guy who's mad at white people, trans activist. Okay, fine. But it was all from one perspective. And I thought, where's the balance? Like, kids, even though they're kids, like, they're not stupid. I was a St. George's student. You sort of know what's up. They're forcing something down your throat. They're not allowing you to disagree. You're not welcome to give your opinion. You have to sit there and...
Well, I don't know. It seems a lot. How many came to the Zoom call?
Take this stuff, even if you agree with it, even if you agree with every word of it. It's so insulting and patronizing. So why not write a letter saying we don't agree with this Carlson guy? We think he's kind of a creep. We don't even like him. But students have asked him to come, and therefore, in the name of academic freedom and free speech and free inquiry, all of which are the basis of education, we're going to allow him to speak. I said, do that. You're not going to hurt my feelings. That would really help the school, because then everyone would know the school is not closed-minded and reactionary. It's open-minded and progressive in the truest sense. And they're like, no. Okay. So I couldn't come to campus.
I mean, it's ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. And what's worse is that the alumni are saying nothing. I mean, the Bushes went there. Come on. So now we come to Foxcroft. So let's see here.
Only 22 out of the 195 heads of state are women. 7.4% of the Fortune 500 ranked businesses have women CEOs. In the 92 years of the Academy Awards, only 5 women directors have ever been nominated for an Oscar. You see a glass ceiling. We see an opportunity.
Yeah, well, Foxcroft, here, let's show some of the. So this was Charlotte Haxel Nolan. This is near Middleburg, Virginia, which is used to be, the Kennedys had a house there, very, very exclusive. This is, prime horse country, at least in the 80s. Middleburg and Palm Beach were amongst the most expensive real estate in the United States. And it was very much the upper crust. Now, Middleburg, oh gosh, it reminds me of the Loire Valley, just before the French Revolution. So Foxcroft has educated the daughters of corporate titans and congressmen, including women from the Rockefeller, Carnegie, Roosevelt, Mellon, DuPont, Auchincloss, and Astor families. We'll go down and see, there's a whole slew of people. They also, let's see, Ruth Bedford, Standard Oil heiress, Ruth Bedford, she donated $40 million to the school. That was 2014. Then let's see, that was for a scholar. A year later, the school announced the establishment of a scholarship for the arts. Oh, the foxhound tradition. Well, their foxhound tradition, I mean, one of my things for Foxcroft, this whole competition that you're promoting, this aggression on women, this is not going too well. Everybody wants me dead. I mean, this is literally, as Bobby Kennedy said about his mother, fair weather friends and friend or foe, destroy or be destroyed world. Well, everybody wants to play that game. Last man standing is the one who, well, in this case, last woman standing is the one who gets the booby prize. Annette de la Renta. Now, Annette de la Renta, she was involved in the Guardian ad litem issues with Brooke Astor. She was the one who said Brooke Astor is not being taken care of, and her son is fleecing her. And she was the one who got involved in that, along with Henry Kissinger. Well, I'm living pretty much in the situation of Brooke Astor, except my mind's not gone. It's just my pocketbook. I can barely keep a roof over my head. Nobody's coming to my aid. Where's Annette de la Renta? Where are all of the other Crofties? Where's Cornelia? I mean, Foxcroft is, their motto is, where you make friends for life. I'm like, with friends like these, who needs enemy? So we get a lot of the Nina Fout. She was an equestrian, Olympic equestrian. She actually worked at Foxcroft in the barn. She was giving classes when I left. Kidder. Dorothy Douglas Robinson Kidder. Kidder is one of the financial families. The DuPont family, Pamela Mars Wright. Oh, this will come in. The Mars family. That's in my little tete-a-tete with Foxcroft. Because they gave, I don't think it's on here, they gave $20 million to Foxcroft new STEM wing, which is going to cost $65 million. I'm like, you don't need to STEM. You need to stop filling the heads with all of these girls with stupidity and all of these, like, you're going to be these great scientists, and teach them to read and write and have a little bit of moral integrity and common sense. Cordelia Scaife May, I believe. Let's see, I forget which family she's from, but that's, there's something about birth control in there. Her philanthropy was political causes, included environmentalism, birth control, and I'm not sure what those. Bunny Mellon. That's with the Mellon family. Tim Mellon, who gave all the money to Trump and Bobby Kennedy, 75 to Trump, 25 million to Bobby Kennedy for their 2024 campaigns, is the stepson of Bunny Mellon. And I'll be getting into I'll get into Foxcroft much deeper, and all of these people in future slides. It'll be coming up in the next one or two. So Keisha Knight Pullman, she is also an alumni of Foxcroft. Patsy Pulitzer. So we've got Flora Payne Whitney. Oh, this was a great matriarch she's the Whitney and the Vanderbilt family of New York. Look at where New York is today. New York, it's heading down this road because Cornelia has even left. Cornelia Guest. See, Cornelia Guest is not mentioned here. She didn't graduate also from Foxcroft. She dropped out to go and hang out at Studio 54 as a sugar baby to the likes of Mick Jagger, Sylvester Stallone. She dated Sylvester Stallone. Global studies with Ms. Young at Foxcroft. Global studies.
My hope for every student that I teach is that they learn to have an opinion about everything, and that they learn to support their beliefs with facts. What excites me is the look in her eyes when she discovers her abilities. You see the excitement and the power that comes over them when they realize that they can affect change in the world. That is the best part of all.
I mean, you talk about your propaganda. Now, I'm an hour away from Foxcroft. Now, I don't have the money since I've been back. Everybody keeps on firing me, and my landlords keep on throwing me out, so I don't have any money to get out there. Not that I really want to, but look, because as I said, I'll get into this in the future videos, exactly because I contacted in, 2020, I think it was 2020, I saw that they were doing a courageous conversation. And I said, oh, could I maybe, I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. You haven't seen everything I've been posting for the past 15 years on the internet about the problems in Washington and how the courts are a mess, and we got 70% of physically and sexually abused children being handed over to the abusers. Pedophilia is rampant. I mean, shall I go on? I'm only an hour away. Maybe you didn't notice. So can I come and speak at the courageous conversation? Well, quickly it was defined that it was only for Black voices. As my sister said, she said, oh God, Foxcroft has gone pro-Black and anti-white. She's right. Well, where is the celebrity chef to the stars and Telluride? I mean, all of the alumni, excuse me, you guys asleep at the wheel, or are you just too busy stuffing your pockets to notice what's going on? So Well, oh God, I looked horrible that day. I was fighting a cold. Okay, I'm trying cold. Coy. I felt horrible. And I heard the email a week ago and I haven't heard back. So let's, okay. Oh, see, this gets into some problematic things that I realize that these are difficult issues, but this is my whole point. Nobody wants to deal with any difficulty. And if everybody would have been doing that for the past 15 years, we wouldn't be here. Because she, you know, my case is international, so this gets into what the State Department is not doing. I mean, one of my favorite things by some woman in the development community, and she wrote a book. She was in Kabul, and they said, well, how do you know who a bully is? Oh, well, they're wearing a State Department badge. Right here, I'm talking about another trustee, because there was really 3 people that I sent, because there were people that I don't know as trustees, you know, so they're not going to know me from. So anyway, I sent it to Coy Durham, Hope, what's Hope's last name? Hope, and Vicky. Oh no, I didn't include Vicky Threlfall on there because Vicky is with the State Department, and this is really, you know, if I'm at war with Congress and the White House, the front line is the State Department with the international cases, which is my specialty, if you will. So this is about Vicky Threlfall. So, you know, there's just a lot of problems in Washington which aren't going to go away. I'm desperately the only person that I've seen who has any kind of possibility of moving the country forward is Bobby Kennedy. And his staff are destroying. I mean, they just... You know, yeah, I've got some stuff on the Kennedy Coalition. It's another. So I'm not gonna, you know, go through it. If you want to listen to it, you can go on there. But let's see. I want where I finish speaking. Oh, how her reaction. She's a Fox News. So, yeah, I mean, you know, this isn't, as I say, this is not about me. Everything's posted on my 2 activism websites. It's all organized and stuff. And, you know, nobody's been looking at that stuff for 15 years while they've been drinking the Kool-Aid of the alt-right and the alt-left. So, anyway. Okay, well, have a nice day.
You have a nice day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
I guess that was in the middle, so if anybody wants to look at that. But she was like, oh, yes, I did. And we just think that Foxcroft are doing a wonderful job. I mean, I was blown away. I was like, okay, fine. I'll see y'all in court. I mean, you know, you can't negotiate with a terrorist. I mean, when I saw the 2021 report from Biden, this is after this, I was like, yeah, everybody's a terrorist. No, you know. I'm like, people are dying. The country is going to shit, and you ladies are only concerned about, oh, this would mess up our reunions. Oh, this wouldn't be pleasant talk for our reunions. So here, Middleburg. I mean, Middleburg has just become destroyed by the woke.
Officially founded in 1787 by Levin Powell, Middleburg was so named because it was the halfway point between the port of Alexandria and Winchester, the gateway to the West. During the Civil War, Middleburg was the site of a bloody battle in 1863 that lasted for days and resulted in many casualties. It was also from this sleepy but strategically located town that Confederate Colonel John S. Mosby, known as the Gray Ghost for his ability to evade capture, executed his famous guerrilla-style attack. By the end of the 19th century, Middleburg had become a culturally diverse town with a strong African-American community driving a thriving economy and a proliferation of programs and events that helped build unity among its residents. In the 1960s, America's first and most glamorous couple began making regular visits to Middleburg because of its convenient proximity to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, this became a real, but see how it jumps. It completely changed in the early 1900s. It was African American. Now, this is an area very rural, and you have all sorts of farms. The Mellons farm is out there, like, 1,000 acres or something like that. You have these huge, which I'm sure in day, they're not sure, there's got to be some plantations around that. So this is very rich in history of Virginia, which was the Confederates. So yeah, Middleburg, look at how everything in the country is changing. Now here's the Fox.
We know the grooves packed by hooves, the trees that hold our stories. We know the pull of desks close, writing ourselves together.
And then we have the article link below, so I think that works pretty well. Yeah.
So there's too many classes you want to take.
We know that a century ago, this school was founded for us, for girls. And it is here we grow confident and compare ourselves to no one.
These schools are just being used as social climbing tools and for parents, who don't care about their kids, and give them these luxury schools, and then they'll be happy and they'll fix all of the problems, their screwed up kids that they're sending there.
I'm a STEM concentration student focusing on engineering.
My concentration is performing arts with an emphasis in technical theater.
Integrated studies with a focus in humanities.
Through the academic concentration program, students are essentially able to take charge of their own learning. What they're doing is they're going above and beyond the graduation requirements, and they're going to get that special designation on their transcript. They are really diving into those inquiries.
It's all just propaganda. Oh, here, this I found, though. It's like, huh. This is the new thing. See, I mean, these are real, country clubs, and it's all, they're brainwashing these kids, and it's all, I'll get into this. I have a book review on this book, The Narcissism Epidemic by Twang and Campbell. And one of the things that they point out is that, the education, whether it be in the homes or in the schools, has just been parents trying to spend money to make up for and to ease their conscience for not spending time with their children and not being a hands-on parent. So that's pretty much, that was from the previous. That's Marianne Seigart and the Lawful Rights of Mankind. But what these are all the robber barons. See, it's all repeating. It's all repeating. As I say, that's the Sygart family, which is in England, but it's all the same. So anyway, that concludes my presentation for this evening. Sorry, this did go on long, but there was a lot of things that with the Epstein stuff being out there, these are kind of the things that I've been looking at, and my take on it is we can't let this go. And it's not, you know, oh, these girls a long time ago. Then why'd you guys bring it up with Virginia Giuffre? I mean, there's just no logic to any of the excuses, not even defenses. Okay, so that's really it for this evening. And have a nice evening. Good night.